Hey guys, how we doing? Continuing to look at questions you guys had from the 9-8 homework, factoring completely. And again, some of those questions, especially the ones at the end, are a little bit difficult, but that's all right. I want to push you guys a little bit and see what you can do. So we're looking at the last problem. It's the one about the birdhouse. It's problem 69 on 9-8. And it gives you a birdhouse, a picture of a birdhouse with some dimensions there, and it's basically a rectangular prism, a box, and they're talking about the volume. And part A says write a polynomial for the volume of that box. So volume is length times width times height. So what I've got here is I've got those three dimensions multiplied together. All right, length, width, and height. We can put those in whatever order we want. So now, unfortunately, I mean, there's the volume of this box, but it's not a polynomial. I need to do some multiplying here. So the good news is 4 times W. I can just write that as 4W. And now I can go ahead and distribute 4W to both the W and the 4. So that gives me 4W squared plus 16W. All right. So I think in part A it says write a polynomial for the volume of the box. And there it is. There's a polynomial that represents the volume of that box. Now part B, it says, hey, the volume of that thing is 128. That's a crappy 8. The volume of that birdhouse is 128 cubic inches. Give me the dimensions. So basically what they're asking you to do is go ahead and solve this equation. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. So the first thing I want to do is get it equal to 0. I'm going to subtract 128 from both sides. And that gives me 4W squared plus 16W minus 128 equals 0. And now I want to solve this equation. So as I'm looking at it, the first thing I notice is, again, 4, 16, and 128, or negative 128, depends how you want to look at that. They're all divisible by 4, as is 0. So I can divide this whole equation by 4. If nothing else, it's just going to give me some smaller numbers to work with. So I'm going to get W squared plus 4W, and 128 divided by 4, I think, is 32. So I get W squared plus 4W minus 32 equals 0. And that actually turns this into a polynomial that's not too bad to factor because, again, we've got W squared, and it's that form that we're looking for, W squared, W, and then a constant. And the coefficient of my W squared is 1. So I don't need to do that factoring by grouping any of that. I'm simply looking for factors of negative 32 that add up to 4. And I think one has to be positive, one has to be negative. I think it's going to be positive 8 and negative 4. So I can write that as W plus 8. I can factor it as W plus 8 and W minus 4 equals 0. And now I use my zero product property. W plus 8 has to equal 0, or W minus 4 has to equal 0. And solving these, subtract 8 on both sides, I get W equals negative 8. And adding 4 on both sides, I get W equals 4. So we solved the equation. And so now, as I'm looking at this, let's take a real quick look at this problem. Well, first of all, W equals negative 8. I know W was one of the dimensions of this box. We can't have a dimension of negative 8 inches. So again, we didn't do anything wrong. Negative 8 is a solution to this equation, but in the context of our problem, negative 8 just doesn't make any sense. So W has to be 4. And let me see if I can find this problem real quickly here. So W has to be 4. So now the dimensions were 4. They gave us that one. W and W plus 4. Oh, I guess I got them right here. I didn't need to look. All right. So the dimensions of this box are 4 by 4, because that's what W is, by 8. All right. So this bird box is, or bird house. Bird box is a movie. Kind of scary. I don't think I've seen it. I don't like scary movies. So 4 by 4 by 8. And then I think if you do 4 by 4, 4 times 4 times 8, you do get that volume of 128 cubic inches. So it does work out. So, all right. All right. So just a couple key things here, recognizing how to find volume. And I think the key thing is understanding we can divide that whole equation by 4, because then it gives me an equation that's a heck of a lot easier to work with. All right. So this was problem 69 on the 9-8 homework. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. I hope this helped. Have a good Easter. Take care, guys.